Welcome, everybody, to this deep dive where we're going to be exploring your inner world, believe it or not, through the ideas of Michael A. Singer and his really popular book, The Untethered Soul. We're going to be unpacking some pretty wild concepts, like this idea that you have a constant inner roommate who, they might not actually be that great to live with, and that your mind, get this, is kind of like a fortress, ready to see what this is all about.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, so Singer, he kicks things off with this idea of an inner roommate, right? Basically, that voice we all have in our heads that never seems to shut up. He even goes as far as to say it's like having this commentator narrating your every single move, even like the simplest things, like, just taking a walk.
Oh, tell me about it.
Right, like you're out there surrounded by beauty, like trees, birds, sunshine, the good stuff. And this voice is like, ooh, look, a squirrel. Remember that time you saw one bury a nut in your planter? Like, what was that about? Why are we even thinking about this? It's almost comical,
It is pretty funny when you think about it like that.
Yeah.
But Singer's point is that all this mental chatter, it isn't always so, innocent. It can actually steal our joy if we're not careful, and even create a lot of anxiety for us.
Because it's not just about narrating what we see on a walk, right? It's that inner critic that loves to chime in with its doubts and worries and judgments about, just about everything.
Exactly. And that's where things start to go south. See, this inner roommate, it's always trying to be in control, right? To make sense of the world by, putting everything in a box, labeling it. It wants us to feel safe. So it's always trying to predict what's going to happen next. Analyze every little thing. You know how it is.
Oh, yeah, I'm very familiar. And so I'm guessing that's where this whole fortress analogy comes into play, huh?
Bingo. It's like we build up all these mental walls around ourselves, trying to protect ourselves from anything that might feel uncomfortable. But here's the thing. When we do that, we end up shutting ourselves off from, actually really experiencing life. We become prisoners in this fortress we built.
And the warden is our need to control everything.
Right. It's like ironic almost, isn't it?
Totally. And so I'd imagine this whole fortress situation is a big part of why this inner roommate can cause so much anxiety.
Huge part.
Makes those bad decisions more likely too, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. When you're constantly being bombarded by this negative commentary, it's tough. It's hard to just be present,
Yeah.
But just enjoy the moment for what it is. We start to second guess every little thing, make decisions based out of fear. And in the process, we miss out on all the beauty and spontaneity that life has to offer.
It's like we're so busy, looking down at our feet that we forget to even look up and see the stars.
Yeah, exactly. And they're always there, even when we don't see them.
So how do we escape this mental fortress? Do we just have to resign ourselves to living with this kind of negative roommate forever?
That's what's so cool about Singer's approach. He's got good news on that front. He says the first step is just realizing, wait a minute. We're not our thoughts. We're not this constant stream of mental chatter, There's a deeper part of us, this observer that exists beyond all the noise.
Oh, interesting. So kind of separating ourselves from our thoughts rather than just accepting them as us, huh?
Exactly. And that's what we'll get into next.
So if we're not our thoughts, then who are we? What's the answer?
Well, Singer, he really throws us for a loop with his answer, that's for sure.
He does, doesn't he? It's how often do you stop and really think about who you are at your core?
Right. Beyond all the labels and roles we take on in life.
And Singer, he just dismantles all the typical answers we might come up with,
Yeah, he's like, nope, you're not your name, not your job, not your relationship status.
Not even our emotions.
Which is kind of wild when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Because our emotions can feel so powerful.
Totally. They can feel like the most real thing in the world sometimes.
But he's saying that even those, they're not the core of who we are.
They're more what? Passing weather patterns or something?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. They come and go.
But the sky is always there, right?
Exactly. And so for Singer, he says the real you, the essence of who you are, it's the observer.
The observer.
Yeah, that quiet space within you that's always present, always watching. It's watching your thoughts and emotions come and go, but it doesn't get swept away by them.
Okay, so it's this is going to sound weird, but almost like we're the audience in our own heads.
I know exactly what you mean. And it's not that weird when you think about it.
We're watching the movie of our lives, but we're not the actors or the story. We're just watching.
You got it. And Singer actually uses a different analogy in the book. He says it's like we're the screen in a movie theater. Our thoughts and emotions, they're like the images flickering across the screen.
Oh, I like that. So they can be, happy, sad, exciting, whatever.
Yeah, constantly changing.
But the screen itself, it stays the same.
Exactly. And just like that screen, our true self, it's always there, even when it's hidden beneath all the, mental noise and distractions.
Okay, so this is all starting to make a little more sense. But, how do we actually get in touch with that deeper sense of self, that observer that's always there?
That's where things start to get really practical. And Singer, he's a big proponent of meditation.
Meditation, right. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, he describes meditation as a way to basically hit the pause button on that mental movie we were talking about. It's about creating some space between our thoughts and emotions and that silent observer within us.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
So instead of getting constantly swept away by every thought and feeling, we can start to detach a little. We can observe them with more objectivity, more calmness.
So we're not trying to stop our thoughts altogether. We're just, changing how we relate to them.
Precisely. And that's a huge distinction.
Because let's be real, trying to completely silence your mind, good luck.
Yeah, it's like trying to stop the waves from crashing on the shore. It's just not going to happen.
But we can learn to, surf those waves, right?
Exactly. And that's what meditation helps us do.
Okay, I'm into it. So we're not our thoughts. We're the awareness behind the thoughts. And meditation helps us tap into that awareness.
That's the gist of it.
Cool. So speaking of things that are cool, Singer, he has this really beautiful way of describing the human heart.
He does. This is one of my favorite parts of the book, actually.
It's not just a pump that keeps us alive,
No, not at all.
Yeah.
He talks about it as this incredible source of energy and potential, capable of experiencing a depth of feeling that honestly most of us probably haven't even scratched the surface of.
Okay, now you have to give me an example because now I'm really curious.
Okay, so imagine this.
Mm-hmm.
You're listening to the most amazing piece of music you've ever heard in your life.
Okay, got it. I'm listening.
But it's not just through your ears. You're feeling the vibrations deep within you.
Whoa, okay, yeah.
It's like every cell in your being is resonating with the music.
So it's like a full body experience.
Exactly. It's not just an intellectual or emotional experience. It's like this symphony of emotions happening on every level.
Okay, I can kind of picture that. And that's what our heart is capable of.
That's what Singer's suggesting, that we all have this incredible capacity for joy, love, connection. But, and here's the catch, it often gets, blocked or muffled by, life.
Blocked.
Yeah.
So it's like our heart is this amazing instrument, but sometimes it's like someone's put earmuffs on us or something.
Yes, exactly. And it's not always intentional. It's not like someone's purposely trying to dampen our joy.
So then what's causing these blocks?
Well, remember those inner roommates we were talking about earlier?
Mm.
The ones who never shut up?
Oh, yeah, those guys.
Yeah.
They're definitely part of the problem.
They play a role, for sure. But Singer, he dives even deeper, and he introduces this concept of samskara. Samskara is a Sanskrit word, and it essentially refers to energetic imprints that are left by our past experiences.
Energetic imprints, so emotional baggage.
That's a great way to put it. It's like every experience we have, both good and bad, leaves a trace.
Okay, that kind of makes sense.
And sometimes those traces, they can create blockages.
Blockages to what? Our happiness?
To our ability to fully experience joy, love, all the good stuff.
So wait, are you saying that even good experiences can hold us back?
They can if we're not careful.
How is that even possible?
Well, think about it like this. Have you ever had an amazing experience, the best vacation ever?
Oh, yeah, totally.
And then you find yourself kind of chasing that high, trying to recreate it.
Oh my gosh, yes. It's like nothing ever quite lives up to that memory.
Right. And that's because we're clinging to the past, to the memory of that experience, instead of being fully present in the now.
And that clinging, that's what creates a samskara.
Exactly. It's like we're holding on so tightly to that good experience that we're actually blocking ourselves from experiencing new joy in the present moment.
Whoa, okay, I never thought of it that way. So even though the experience itself was positive, the attachment to it can actually hold us back.
Exactly. It's like holding on to a beautiful butterfly.
Yeah?
You might admire its beauty for a little while, but if you keep holding on too tight, you're going to crush it, right?
Oh, that's a good analogy. So the key is to appreciate the experience, but not get too attached to it.
You got it. It's about allowing both the positive and negative experiences to flow through us without getting too attached to either.
Easier said than done, but I see what you mean. Okay, so we've got these samskars, these energetic imprints. They're kind of like emotional baggage we carry around. How do we even know what we're dealing with? Like, how do we identify these things?
That's where Singer's analogy of the thorn in the heart comes in.
Okay, a thorn in the heart. I'll bite. Go on.
We'll unpack that next time.
Okay, a thorn in the heart, huh? Sounds kind of intense, but I'm intrigued.
It's a powerful image, right? And it really gets to the heart of how we experience suffering.
So walk me through it. What exactly does he mean by thorn in the heart?
So think about it like this. We all have these, like, sensitive spots, you know?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Those areas where we're, like, more prone to feeling hurt or insecure.
Exactly. And Singer, he says these sensitivities are like thorns in our hearts.
Okay, I kind of get it. But how do those thorns actually play out in our lives?
Well, just like a real thorn, they can be triggered by, like, the smallest things, you know?
Oh, tell me about it. It's like 1 minute you're fine, the next minute, boom, triggered.
Right. And it can feel so sudden and random, but it's actually tapping into, like, a deeper wound.
So it's not really about the thing that triggered it. It's more about that old hurt resurfacing.
Exactly. Singer gives this example in the book. Let me see if I can remember.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Okay, so he talks about this guy who's, like, just watching TV. Right.
Just chilling.
Totally.
Mm.
And then he sees a commercial or something with this super happy couple, you know, like ridiculously in love.
Oh.
And all of a sudden, bam, this wave of loneliness just hits him like a ton of bricks.
Ouch. Yeah, I can see how that would be a thorn in the heart moment.
Right. It might seem like just a random reaction to a silly commercial, but it's actually triggering that deeper wound of, like, longing for connection.
So it's like that old wound, it creates this like vulnerability, this sensitivity, and then boom, anything that even remotely touches on that sensitivity can set us off.
Exactly. It's like we walk around with these, like, invisible thorns, and we don't even realize they're there until, ouch, we bump into something.
So then what do we do about it? Do we just try to avoid anything that might trigger our thorns?
That's what a lot of us try to do, right? Like, consciously or unconsciously.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's like, if I can just avoid that one thing, then I'll be happy.
But here's the thing. Singer, he argues that avoidance, it actually keeps us trapped.
Trapped? How so?
Because the more we try to protect ourselves from getting hurt, the smaller our world becomes.
It's like we're building that fortress around our hearts that we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. We might feel safer in the short term, but in the long run, we end up isolating ourselves from all the good stuff, too.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if avoidance isn't the answer, then what is? How do we actually deal with these thorns in a healthy way?
Well, Singer, he suggests that it all starts with this radical idea, accepting that true happiness can't be conditional.
Unconditional happiness. Okay, you're going to have to break that one down for me.
So a lot of us, we go through life kind of chasing pleasure and avoiding pain, right?
Totally guilty of that.
We're all trying to create this, like, perfect little bubble where nothing bad ever happens and we're always happy.
Oh, yeah, the if only game. If only I had this, then I'd be happy.
Right. But Singer's point is that that's just not how life works.
Yeah, unfortunately. Life is messy. Things happen. We can't control everything.
Exactly. And the more we try to control it, the more we suffer.
Because we're constantly fighting against reality.
Exactly. So unconditional happiness, it's not about pretending that everything is always sunshine and rainbows.
Okay, good, because that's not realistic.
Right. It's more about, like, making a conscious choice to be happy regardless of what's happening around you.
So it's like an internal decision, a shift in perspective.
You got it. It's about finding that place of peace and joy within yourself, a place that can't be touched by external circumstances.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it. But how do we actually do that? Like, how do we choose happiness when everything in us wants to resist the tough stuff?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
And it's not always easy, but Singer, he offers some really practical tools.
Lay it on me.
He talks about the importance of awareness, of noticing when we're clinging to the past, resisting the present, or trying to control the future.
So it's about, like, catching ourselves in those thought patterns that keep us stuck.
Exactly. It's like, oh, there I go again, worrying about something that hasn't even happened yet.
Been there. Okay, so we become aware of those thoughts, those patterns. Then what?
We observe them without judgment, just like we were talking about with meditation.
So we don't try to fight them or push them away. We just kind of, like, acknowledge them and let them be.
Exactly. It's like watching clouds pass by. You know, they're there. We see them, but we don't have to grab onto them and let them take us for a ride.
That's a great visual. I can see how that would be helpful.
And the more we practice this, the easier it gets. like with anything else.
It's like we're building a new muscle, that muscle of non-attachment.
Exactly. And as we do that, we start to create more space in our lives for joy, for peace, for freedom.
Wow, when you put it like that, it's pretty inspiring. It's like we have this incredible capacity for happiness within us. We just have to learn how to tap into it.
That's the journey, right? In Singer's book, it's like a roadmap.
A roadmap to untethering our souls. Well, that about wraps up this deep dive.
It was fun to dive deep with you.
Always a pleasure. And for our listeners, be sure to check out the next episode where we'll be exploring blah, blah, blah. Until then, keep those hearts open and those minds curious.